Hey, it's great to have you with us on the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. That's Matthew Rocchio. I'm Randy Karraker, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Can't
Almost.
wait.
We're
Yeah.
almost to 2026.
Almost there. This one went by in a flash.
It did. Yeah, time, it's a flying. By the way, later on, we're going to have an interview that we conducted with Ricky Prohl, the new head coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks. That'll be right here on STL Sports Central. Looking forward to that. And we got some baseball talk. We got a little Mizzou talk. And first of all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and to Tyler Soderstrom of the Oakland Athletics, who got a 7-year deal worth $86 million. And here is the way that this baby is going to play out. He signed the extension on the day after Christmas, on the 26th. It can be worth $131 million. And Tyler Soderstrom played really well last year for the Athletics, 25 homers, drove in 93, 820 OPS. And if you're Alec Burleson, left-handed hitter, played a little outfield, you're going to be a full-time first baseman, about the same service time. If you're Burleson, you have to be looking at the Tyler Soderstrom contract and be saying, okay, that's me. That's what I should be getting. 7 years and 86 with escalators, making it worth $131 million. If I'm Alec Burleson, I'm looking at it that way.
Yeah, because you want to bet on yourself a little bit, but you also got to be realistic and know that you're okay. Well, I'm probably I didn't have that. I'm 3 years older than him, same service time, but I'm a few years older than him. I think it's about 2.5 years older than him or so. He's got more power than I do. He plays a more.
I don't know. He hit 25 home runs in a minor league ballpark.
I guess that's fair. I guess his numbers say that he does have a little bit more power than Burleson does. If you look at StatCast and Baseball Savant and things like that, a little bit more power.
474 slug for Soderstrom, 459 for Burley.
So a little bit more power, a little younger, and also Gold Glove finalist at left field. Also kind of factors into, I think, to the potential of what he's bringing to the table. So, but you're thinking, I can go to bat off that 12 million AAV, and I can maybe start arguing for a contract that pays me at the start around 8 to 10 million, and then we can talk about accelerators there, because obviously if I hit better, I want to get a little bit more money. So it sets the top of the market, and then you think, well, if I can come in at the top of the tier below that one, I'm doing pretty well for myself. And I think right now, when it comes down to contract extension talks for the Cardinals, it really is. I think Burleson and Wynn are realistic candidates. Obviously, if Donovan was part of the future outlook, he'd be a perfect candidate for an extension as well. But outside of that, I think it really is those three guys. And I don't think there's any reason, and maybe you disagree here, I think there's a lot of reasons why, if you're the Cardinals, whether before or after this sets the top of the market, I think it makes sense to talk to Burleson about something right now. He's in his first year of arbitration. You can buy some years. Everyone's happy. He gets a little guaranteed money. You get a potential big bat at a cheaper than market value in a few years. Everybody wins.
Yeah, and I think that's what the Cardinals have to be thinking. And if the Cardinals really like him, and I know they think he's a really good player, a guy that is going to make a big difference for them, I would think that they would want to do everything they can. And you can start him lower. If you want to start at 5 years and 60 million or something like that, you can do that and hope that he takes it. But I think the Cardinals need to start developing a little consistency, a little continuity with these young players to make sure that they're not gone when you're ready to start winning. You don't want guys to become free agents when you're ready to start winning and taking off. So I'm with you. By the way, they think that their best player, now this isn't me, this is the Cardinals talking.
Herrera does.
They think their best player is going to be JJ Wetherholt. So he's one of those guys that, like the Brewers did with Jackson Chourio, you sign him before he ever plays a major league game.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like the Cardinals are really that organization. I know last year you would have liked it if they would have signed Matthews before he even pitched an inning in the major league level. It just doesn't seem like they're that guy. Craig Lewis, thank you. This is what happens when you come out of vacation, a long weekend. You forget that Ivan Herrera is on the team and is probably a pretty good extension candidate as well. Yeah, I'm going to feel pretty stupid about that one. Thank you very much, Craig Lewis. Yeah, Von Herrera, I guess, would be number 3 or 4 on not in order, but he would be
You'd have
a fourth guy
Yeah.
on the list of potential extension candidates for the Cardinals, more like 3, because again, it doesn't look like Donovan is going to be part of the future look for this Cardinals. And you guys can disagree that in the chat, as many of you have, and also in the comments, you'll disagree that as well. But I think we both agree that it makes sense to start talking turkey with a couple of these young guys.
No doubt about it.
It makes sense both from a financial point, but to your point as well. And we've talked about it with Brendan Donovan getting, jerked around in arbitration talks. There hasn't been a good run of history in the previous regime in signing guys to extensions after you go to arbitration with them. In fact, and by not a good run of history, I mean you went HOFer. You went absolutely goose egg on that over the last 7-8 years.
Well, and
so
to be really honest about it and fair, we all thought that when they signed Paul DeJong, okay, no lose deal. It's not going to cost that much, and it didn't work out great. Same thing with Colton Wong. Same thing with Alan Craig. Same thing with Matt Carpenter. Although the Carpenter one wasn't bad.
That was pretty good.
But my point is this: even Carlos Martinez, out of the 5 years, you got 3 really good ones when the Cardinals signed him. But more often than not, when the Cardinals did sign young players to the big contracts for various reasons,
had they signed Alex Reyes?
Yeah, they didn't.
Oh, God, that would have been terrible.
Yeah, right. For various reasons, they didn't work out. So I think the Cardinals, I can understand why ownership would be cautious, but the reason that you have these new people in here is because they're supposed to be better at evaluating young talent than the last group was. So it's one of those situations with these players where you can pay me now or you can pay me later. If Wynn is as good as you think he is, if Wetherholt is as good as you think he is, if Herrera is as good as you think he is, the price ain't going down. If these are good players, the Cardinals will only pay more for them in the future. So regardless of what current revenues are, and by the way, national TV revenue is still there. You should be able to have a representative payroll with national TV revenue. If these players are as good as you think they are, then you should pay me now, because if not, you're going to have to pay me later or ultimately lose me as a free agent.
Craig Lewis, I don't think there will be much urgency by the club to extend anyone this offseason or next due to the looming strike.
Well, first of all, I think it'll be a lockout. I don't think the players will go on strike because of the sort of money that they're making, and the owners control this. And here,
players have to strike against the owners.
Right.
Owners lock out the players.
But if the owners lock out the players, during the lockout, the players don't get paid. If you don't have a collective bargaining agreement in place, the players don't get paid. So I don't know where or how, and I understand what you're saying, but usually historically, when these lockouts, or in 1994's and 1981's versions wrapped up, 81 was a strike, and 94 was a strike. But player service time was factored in. And so the players wound up, even though they didn't play, they wound up getting service time. That shouldn't make a big difference to the Cardinals. They don't have to pay a player while the player isn't playing. So I don't know why that would be a concern, because in my opinion, you should be able to get your guy under contract and then pay him when he's playing again. Because at some point, what happens here? Let me throw something out to you. What happens if you don't sign these players, and in a new deal with a salary cap, free agency goes to the NFL or NBA 4 years rather than 6? Wouldn't you rather have the guy under contract rather than have him a year away from free agency?
Yes, I would.
So that's another reason why you get the 6 or 7 year deal taken care of. I think it makes sense for teams that are doing this now. Just the Tyler Soderstrom deal, the latest being a great example. Get your young player under contract. Get him wrapped up. Build a culture in St. Louis with a group of players that you know are going to be here, so that you can have a level of continuity, players that are proud to be members of the Cardinals. You know, one of the things that Whitey Herzog always did, and I think this would be a smart move on the part of the Cardinals too, although the money is different now and the game is different now. But one of the reasons that people like Van Slyke and Worrell and Tom Lawless and Ricky Horton, they all live here, is because Whitey went to them when they were young players and said, look, you're going to be here and you don't have a family yet, but it'd make sense for you to buy some real estate and have a place in St. Louis. I'm not telling you have to, but I'm just telling you that in my experience, it would be a good idea. So that whole group of guys from the 80s, Ozzie, one of the reasons that those guys stuck around is because as youngsters, the Cardinals told them they were going to keep them, and then they had them under contract and kept them here as youngsters. And I think that'd be a smart move on the part of the Cardinals. One of the things, and again, this is not something that you will be able to do probably after if you get a salary cap. And not that it worked for the Royals, but for a time, Matthew, when the Royals were trying to build that young team with Beltran and Johnny Damon and the right fielder that wound up with the White Sox, they had a group of young players, and they bought them houses in Kansas City, and they were able to keep them around. And I think that'd be another good thing for the Cardinals to do, is to help the players out in purchasing a residence here in St. Louis. Sign them, have them here, have them be members of the St. Louis community if you can do it. I don't know if it's realistic in 2026, but I think that's something that is worth it for the Cardinals to try.
And Craig, you're saying, I'm thinking they want to see what the new structure is going forward. And that's completely fair. And maybe the mindset with the A's is that because they're going to be in Vegas, it's, they're going to, the money stream's not going to be an issue there. But if you're the Cardinals, I mean, does a potential, 5-year, $58 million deal for Alec Burleson, is that, potentially so outsized that it wouldn't fit pretty easily under a salary cap?
No.
I feel like that'd be a pretty good deal under a salary cap. That would, any salary cap version that you guys can think of. I feel like a 5-year deal for, again, like $55 million at the most, if not, upwards of 60, that's going to be a good deal no matter what under that salary cap.
And it'll get you to the floor too. That's sort of a deal that will help you get to the floor. Now, the Cardinals, I can guarantee you this, if there is a salary cap in place, or luxury taxes, or whatever the case might be, the Cardinals might wind up being a cap team because they have to. For example, in the NFL, you have to spend, over the course of 5 years, I think it is, you have to spend 99% to the cap. And in hockey, it's a certain percentage. So you have to have guys under contract. It's not like you're going, over the course of time, you're going to have guys under contract. And so I don't think you have to worry about the Cardinals wanting to save money when and if a scenario with a cap and a floor reveals itself.
So let's just talk a little bit of money, just to have a little fun, because again, Soderstrom, I'm putting him at the high, a tier above. He's so young, Gold Glove potential in the outfield, power potential, and he's getting 12 million AAV as the low guaranteed level, 7 for 86. So going off of that, I'm starting again at about 5 for 50 if I'm the Cardinals.
Okay. And
I'm thinking right out of the bat, buying some years from Burleson. Obviously, you maybe add some incentives in there that could allow him to get upwards of maybe 14 to 15 AAV in the last 2 or 3 years of the deal if he hits certain numbers. But it started at about $50 to $55 million. It's enough money for him to be like, that's a pretty good chunk of change right out of the gate. And I think it's a pretty good number for the Cardinals if the AAV comes down to about $10 million a year.
I wonder if Alec Burleson is going to accept that 5 and 50. I
mean, he has one full season of really big, of really solid MLB numbers. That's the thing, is like you have some leverage. 2 full seasons. Sorry, I don't know why I said 1. He has 2 full seasons of MLB numbers, and he's kind of shown 20 home run, 80 RBI power, and a solid OPS. The question is, if you look at like OPS plus, Soderstrom last year is a 127, or 126 this year. Alec Burleson's 125. So how different are they? Well, 4 WAR for Soderstrom to a sub 2 WAR for Alec Burleson, if you like getting into the numbers there. And the same thing with Burleson. He's a little bit older. He's going to be a first baseman. We don't really know what the quality of his first base defense is going to be compared to, again, a guy who was a left field finalist for the Gold Glove last year in the AL. And so I just don't know, if you're Alec Burleson, if you can get a contract that's giving you a 10 AAV with Soderstrom getting 12, I don't know how you turn your nose up at that.
Okay, so, and I will admit to you guys,
with a lot of acceleration,
I have no idea how Baseball Reference does this.
Okay.
But they say that the most comparable hitter to Alec Burleson through age 25 is Josh Naylor. By the way, another hitter that they have as comparable to him, and this is a big outlier because J.D. Martinez turned into a different hitter right after Houston released him and he went to Detroit. So let's leave J.D. Martinez out of the equation. But Naylor goes to Arizona and in his 4th year makes 10.9. And then in his 5th year with Seattle last year, or no, actually this will be next year. He gets a new deal at 11.3 to stay with the Mariners. I think if you look at that comp, that Naylor was similar to Burleson at the age of 25, and by his 4th year was making 10.9. If you're Burleson, you have to say, well, I don't know if I want to do that.
Are you arguing that because a guy like Naylor has the season when he's 27 where he pops for 31 home runs for 100 RBI, and you're thinking if Burleson says if that's me in 2 years,
right,
I'm missing out on a chance to sign a deal, then because that'd be my 3rd arbitration year. I'm missing out on a chance on signing a deal right when I'm 29, 30 at the top of my peak after I have a huge season when I can really leverage it. And that's the risk. This is the conversation we're always having.
He got a deal without arbitration. Naylor did.
Yes.
To go from 6.5 to 10.9. He got a deal in 2024 for 6.5 and then 10.9 this past year, and then obviously signed as the big free agent contract to remain with Seattle. So that's what I'm thinking. If the economics of baseball are so outrageous that I think Alec Burleson is probably going to. My bottom line here, Alec Burleson is probably going to be looking for more than 5 and 50.
Okay, so then I have to look at it from the Cardinals side of things. Is that how high do I go? There's no way from the Cardinals I'm going higher than 55.
Well, maybe what you do is try to go between Naylor and Soderstrom. Maybe you try to go to 11.5.
So Soderstrom's 7 for 86.
11.5 over 6 years.
Soderstrom's 7 for 86. Naylor's 5 for 92. And so the AAV there is going to be higher on. Is going to be.
Get out the calculators here.
Well, kids. The AAV on Soderstrom's 12. The AAV on Naylor is 18 and a half. So between those two would be 15 million a year. Between Soderstrom and Naylor would be 15 million a year. Literally, it'd be 6 million. It'd be a 6-year deal for 15 million a year.
How about 6 years and 69 million for Burley?
Good Lord, I don't think the Cardinals guarantee Alec Burleson $70 million. I mean, it's
halfway between Soderstrom and Naylor. It's $11.5 million a year.
Yeah, I guess I'd be surprised if No, I don't think the Cardinals that especially the extra years, because at seven years, Burleson just turned 27.
Yeah, but that would be a 6-year deal that I was
on. A 6-year deal.
6 and 69.
6 and 69. I'm thinking. Say who says no for? I mean, obviously Alec Burleson's camp says yes to that one. I'm getting him through his age 33 season at that point for 11 per year. 11.5 per year.
And he turned
27 34 days ago. Happy birthday, Alec Burleson.
27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 season.
Yeah, through his 32 age 32 season for 11 million a year. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, I like that. Okay, I like that.
Okay,
I like that. I don't see who says no to that one.
I think we both know that we have worked a deal.
If you're him though, would you take 1 year shorter to try to get a bite at the apple at 32 instead of trying to get the bite at 33?
Maybe go 5.
Yeah, maybe
11.
Yeah. So 5 and 58. That was like the first number I threw out. I think in the entire show here, I threw out 5 and 58 as the first little bit of numbers.
Yeah.
Reason we're talking Burleson is because of the Soderstrom deal kind of setting it. And me and Joe talked about this before Christmas or just after Christmas. A lot of responses we got in that video were people saying that Burleson shouldn't be the next extension. A lot of people in that video were saying the next extension needs to be Mason Wynn.
Doesn't matter when it happens.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what order they come in. I think you have to keep 4 of them. And I haven't even gotten to the pitchers yet. But I think you have to keep Wynn. I think you have to sign Wetherholt. I think you got to do Burleson, and I think you got to do Herrera.
Okay.
And then I can hold off on Burleson. I can hold off on Walker. I can hold off on Newt. I can hold off on Scott. and then I can hold off on the pitchers.
So you're saying before spring training, you would like to see
It wouldn't bother me.
Wynn,
Wouldn't break my heart.
Burleson, Herrera, and JJ Wetherholt
Or
all sign extensions
You can do it during spring training.
during
you can
spring
do it
training.
opening day. You can do it. Jim Edmonds signed in April.
sometime in 2026.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do think, though, that
Can we
people
put free flag day on it?
if you want to do a little PR, I think one of the cool things that the Cardinals could do to fire people up is for their home opener. And I think their home opener or their overall opener is here this year, right? So I've got to play for you here.
I don't look at the Cardinals schedule until conference play starts.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. This is the 2026 regular season official schedule. Tickets will be available. You can also buy tickets at cardinals.com. So here we go, though. So they open up against the Rays here on March 26th, then a day off on the 27th. So you announce your deal. It's a 3:15 game.
Mhm.
You announce your deal with JJ Wetherholt at about 10 a.m. on March 26th. Your 7-year, $100 million deal, or maybe even 10 years.
I still do a radio show that ends at 10 a.m. Can we do 9:50, please?
Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. So well, I'll give you 9:30.
But for about the solid 3 years from 2023 through 2025, St. Louis sports teams decided that 10:05 was a great time to release news. And I'll tell you what, right now, it started pissing me off after a little bit. Started taking it a little bit personal. I know I shouldn't have, but I kind of did.
Okay,
let's move it up to about 9:45, people.
The deal that Churio got before playing in a major league game was 8 years and $82 million 2 years ago. So if you're the Cardinals on that deal, and by the way, there are club options that could make it a 10-year for 142. So for JJ, raise it 5%. So let's see, raise it about $4 million. So 8 years, 86.
In a heartbeat, in an absolute heartbeat. That's a lot of money, though, for a guy who's never seen Major League pitching.
But see, that's a going rate, though. That's what you got to do these days.
I know it is, but my thing is you have to make a phone call to Bill DeWitt Jr. and say, hey, we're going to guarantee a guy $90 million, by the way, which is more than you've ever guaranteed a free agent in your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never seen Major League pitching. Thoughts? And I just don't know how that conversation is going to go.
Well, again, it's a pay me now or pay me later. Because when you look at what Bobby Witt Jr.
First chat we got today is JJ Wetherholt, St. Louis's Bobby Witt.
There you go. And what if he is? Then you're looking at over $300 million.
I mean, that's the risk. Right? But I'm just saying that would be. I mean, we're talking about a lot of seismic changes in the Cardinals organization and thought process this winter. Is that the next one? Is that the next domino to fall? Their ability to eat that?
The Padres played Jackson Merrill for a year. All right. He became a really good center fielder after playing shortstop, by the way. And in his second year, they had to give him 9 years and $135 million. It literally is a pay me now or pay me later proposition. So if I'm the Cardinals, and I have not heard anything from, in talking to minor league managers and coaches, to talking to the manager, to talking to the POBO, to talking to people that represent ownership, everybody in that organization is super fired up about what JJ Wetherholt is going to be. They think he can be the next great Cardinal. And sometimes, and I've told you this before, I ask them, okay, who's a great player on your major league roster? We really don't have a great player, but JJ Wetherholt is going to be. That's what they're thinking. So if they're thinking that, if they believe that, why not have some conviction and try to get that guy under contract and have him here for a long time and turn him into your centerpiece?
Jacob Murphin says extend Wetherholt and Wynn and arguably have the best middle infield defensive wise for years to come.
Could.
I think you've seen Wynn's floor and hope for Wetherholt's ceiling.
Yep. And I think that the desire of Mason Wynn to try to get better is evident and palpable. I think that he has a chance to be a really good offensive player, even though he didn't show it last year. He's working his butt off this offseason. You saw how hard he worked and how much he wanted to play to win the Gold Glove and the pride that he took in winning the Gold Glove. And I'm of the belief that Mason Wynn has the skill set to be one of the best shortstops in the National League. So
Yeah.
I have no problem signing him.
We got some chats actually about Mason Wynn. Craig Lewis says Wynn absolutely needs to be the first. They extended. Ghostface Gaming says Wynn's bat fell off last year, but I guess Ozzie didn't always hit either. So I don't know. And a big thing here, Craig Lewis pointed out as well. Ali Marmol mentioned it when he was on the air with Cam and Jim. Mason Wynn played injured about 3 different ways this past season. And so I don't know if we can really.
He had the bad back for a while.
Yes. And then how long did he have that?
About a week back.
Nicely done. God, we haven't missed a step.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I think that, we talk about he's got to be the first to sign. How about if the first guy to take the deal is the first guy to sign?
There you go. There you go. I like that.
You go out, you offer 4 deals, and the first guy and you tell each of them, hey, you guys, we want you to be the nucleus for years. And we want to sign you all. But the first guy to take the deal, sign him. Make him be the first extension.
Ghostface Gaming is just, you've blown his mind, Randy. Wetherholt hasn't even played MLB yet. How can you get extended at that point?
Well, again,
it's a risky thing, but we've seen teams do it.
Yep. And Churio was a great example by the Brewers. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. The Mariners signed a first baseman by the name of White. I think it was Gabe White a few years ago, and he never wound up being a good major league player. The Mariners also gave Julio Rodriguez a monster deal halfway through his first season, and he's turned out very well. Witt had played a year. So there are a lot of guys. Evan Longoria, I think, had played 8 games in the majors when Tampa Bay gave him his big contract. It's not something that's new or different. And again, if you have conviction and you're confident in your ability to evaluate, it's, in my opinion, smarter to pay the guy about $100 million less when he hasn't played a year yet.
It's funny. There was somebody here said, "Oh, the Cardinals aren't interested in extending players. They're about to go to the Tampa Bay and Cleveland model." Well, if you remember, didn't work out very well, but it wasn't for baseball reasons. But Tampa Bay said, "Hey, we have a generational talent. Let's sign him to a deal under $20 million a year that keeps him here for the rest of his career, and we never have to pay him $300 million." His name was Wander Franco. It wasn't baseball reasons that torpedoed that deal, but the Tampa Bay Rays eventually said, "We can have the franchise for." It was 11 years under $200 million. So they said we can have the franchise for under $20 million a year, or we can, like we always have, let them walk when they would actually get $30 million a year. So they made the move to do that in Tampa Bay because the talent was there. Obviously, all the other side shit happened, but that move was made by the Rays because they saw that to keep a guy for 10 years as one of the best players in baseball, you have to do it now, because you cannot do it later. So if you're saying they're going to be the Tampa Bay Cleveland model, you're arguing to our point that signing these guys early is the better move.
Yeah, and Boston did that, obviously, with Christian Campbell early last season. They're hoping that he works out. So it happens a lot. It's not unusual for teams to sign players. And I just think right now, with where the Cardinals are, because they aren't going to have Nolan Arenado. He's not going to be around. We're used to having, as a fan base, guys that are around that we know. Very rarely do Cardinal fans go to the ballpark on opening day and not have a group of guys that say, "Oh, let's go see Nolan Arenado. Let's go see Paul Goldschmidt. Let's go see Yadier Molina. Let's go see Albert Pujols or Matt Holliday or Adam Wainwright or whomever." Heck, you had 4 Hall of Famers in 2004 playing in your starting 8. You knew the guys. I think it's important for the Cardinals, because of the nature of the Cardinal fan, to have players that they can watch grow up and become part of the fabric, and not only of the team, but of the community.
Is there a number that would make sense on the win side of things? If we're talking $11 million a year for Alec Burleson, obviously Wynn, just turned or is right between 23 and 24, so much younger. His arbitration, it doesn't hit until next season, so you're buying out the whole shooting match on that one. But obviously he just got through an injury-riddled season, but he's younger, premium position where he's already won a Gold Glove. Yeah. I wonder if you starting at 15 to 18, 15, 17.
I can't do that with what he did offensively last year.
Okay.
And he might not want to do that. He might want to go prove himself in 2026. I would make him an offer. I mean, he only had a 673 OPS.
Yeah, it was good.
It was 100 points higher.
Joe Roderick keeps talking about him being a leadoff hitter, and I don't think that's going to be happening very much this year, Joe.
Well, yeah, his on base was 310. The year before that, his on base was 314. So
Not good.
he might want to wait. I would make an offer because he's a Gold Glover, but I think my offer would be on the conservative side.
And you know what? I want him to reject it because, to your point, he can bump his offer up to actually, because I shot too high there. I'll be honest. I shot too high there. Probably more like 12 would be realistic. He can make himself worth upwards of that's the high teens. If he learns how to become a better base runner, if he can actually start utilizing that speed on the offensive side of things, and if I'm him, I'd really like to see him say, no, I need to bet on myself as a base runner, be a guy who steals some bags, because then I'm forcing your hand and saying, if you want to buy some of these years from me, it's going to cost you a little bit of money because I have potential both offensively. You can't just pay me for my glove.
And he would be a free agent. So he's played 2 full seasons. So
2030, my apologies.
So 26, 27, 28, 29. So yeah, you've got 4 more seasons of him before he can reach, at least under the current system, before he can reach free agency. And he might want to just bet on himself. You know, you should do that too with DraftKings because you can do that in Missouri. That's right. Now, for the last month or so, you've been able to bet legally on sports here in Missouri with DraftKings, where the crown is yours. And you can make every game more exciting with same game parlays. Man, the college football playoffs are going to be so much fun on New Year's Day with all the parlays you can make and money lines and props and more. And then that last Sunday of the NFL season is going to be amazing. And you know the days. I mean, all the cool things, the passion that we have for sports, the knowledge that we have for sports. And now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap and every touchdown and every win. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you use that promo code right there on your screen, STL Sports. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, so Randy, we've been doing something here on the STL Sports Central social media page. We've been doing St. Louis's Sportsman of the Year, and we did a little bit of a bracket, and the bracket has now come down to one of its final matchup here. So the bracket start with here's the 8 nominees for Sports Person of the Year, and as you can tell, I was very happy about this because there's not a single damn soccer or basketball player on this flipping list. Donovan faced off the 1 seed, faced off against the 8 seed Montgomery. We had the 4-5 seed matchup of Mason Wynn versus Eli Drinkwitz. Obviously, the voting went before the bowl game. The 2-7 matchup was Bloom versus Mozeliak. That was the Pobo battle. Wow, yeah. And then the 3-6 matchup was Ahmad Hardy versus Ali Marmol. Ahmad Hardy took down Ali Marmol, much like many SEC defenders this season. Bloom took down Mozeliak, because we're all about the young ones here at this company. Donovan and Montgomery, I won't be shocked there that the Blues, the way they've been built by Montgomery, hasn't beaten out Brendan Donovan in this one. And then Mason Wynn and Eli Drinkwitz, again, voting before the bowl game, but nonetheless, Mason Wynn was the winner there. Donnie then took down Mason Wynn. So if you know who the St. Louis people like when it comes to the middle infield, it's the guy who's going to be gone in a month. And then it was Bloom and Hardy, and Ahmad Hardy, again, shaking off tacklers like it's an SEC game, took down Bloom. And that means right now the voting begins tonight on STL Sports Central social media page. You can find it there on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Brendan Donovan versus Ahmad Hardy. Who is the STL Sports Central Sports Person of the Year? Voting begins tonight.
Let me just double check here something.
You gonna throw in a little thoughts here?
Donnie Baseball.
Wow, Donovan, by the way, won by 2 votes over Mason Wynn.
Wow.
By 2 votes, and that is not a small margin with how many votes we got. Unbelievable. We almost had Wynn and Hardy. I know who my vote would have been there.
Who?
It would have been Ahmad Hardy.
I think I'm going to go there too.
This year, I mean, but going up against Brendan Donovan, I'm still going to go Ahmad Hardy. Yeah, I'm absolutely. It's Ahmad Hardy. I mean, the guy's just broke another record.
I know the all-time Mizzou rushing record that had been held by Devin West.
And guys, he's the perfect running back. He's a bowling ball. Like, imagine if Maurice Jones-Drew was the size of a normal human being. Ahmad Hardy.
Yep.
It's fantastic. Everything about him is beautiful. I love Ahmad Hardy, the way he runs, and I really hope that his usage in the bowl game yesterday doesn't wholly piss him off.
And he is
my apologies.
FBS rushing leader for 2025 with 1,649 yards too. So he should absolutely be the guy. With all due respect to Brendan Donovan. By the way, Cam Cook of Jacksonville State had 10 more yards, but he obviously is not a power 4 guy. Emmett Johnson of Nebraska.
Cam Cook guy is
1451. And then let's go. Then we have to go way down to find a guy. Jeremiah Love, 1372.
Speaking of college football running backs, Boston College's running back went into the portal today. His name is Turbo Richard.
Well, he's got to be a Mizzou Tiger.
I mean, it's the problem is what running back's going to transfer to Mizzou this year? You're basically accepting that you're not going to play for a season.
It depends on whether or not Hardy is back.
I don't think Drinkwitz pissed him off that much.
I hope not
during that bowl game. Do you really? I mean,
no, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't. I just don't think.
But here's the thing:
that chagrined.
I would think that his agent knows how much he can get on the open market. That would be my concern. Is somebody coming after him? And did he get that phone call or the text from his agent that says, "Hey, Ahmad, we can get $2.5 million a year. You're only getting $1.5 million at Mizzou." Could happen.
Enrico Palazzo says Wynn and Scott should be batting 8th and 9th. And well, then you might ask, who should lead off then? And my answer is anyone else.
Wynn
That's fair.
And Scott 8th and 9th. So you don't have Donovan. So I guess Wetherholt.
I'm okay with that.
Is your leadoff hitter?
Lars Nootbaar?
Could be. There you go. Not a bad call.
Beyond that, though.
Well,
it's not going to be Jordan Walker.
Nope. It's not going to be
Nolan
Burley.
Gorman.
It's
not going to be Burley.
Herrera.
It's not going to be Herrera. It's not going to be Pajes.
So
there.
So
we figured it out.
Is your number 7 hitter? That's pretty bad. I think Mason Wynn could be an okay 6 hitter.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that one. Speaking of Mason Wynn, Aaron says, I see the Cardinals trading Wynn in 3 years when he's up for money because the DeWitts like the new savings.
Could happen. Although, from what I'm given to understand, and I don't know if this plan will play out this way, the Cardinals kind of want to run a hybrid of the model they've run in the past with what Tampa runs. They want to develop more good young players like the Rays do, and they aren't going to trade a guy just because the guy they're getting has a higher 0.5 WAR. And they will be more inclined, I think, like the Rays were with Longoria or Franco, to sign several of their young stars if they become stars. So I'm not really worried about hey, I just want to see them start playing well. And if they can develop more good players and churn out a good player every year, see, we're talking about quantity right now because they've brought up so many guys. Matthew, what I want to see them do is bring up a good young player every year. If you can bring up a good impact player every year, you've got nothing else to worry about because you're going to be, as soon as somebody is ready to take off, you're going to be adding another young player and you just move on. Back in the 80s when the Cardinals decided they were going to move on from Ken Oberkfell, they had Terry Pendleton ready to come up and play well. When they moved on from Keith Hernandez, they didn't really want to, but they were ready to bring up Andy Van Slyke. Van Slyke had done everything he could in the minors and had to be brought up at some point, and the forced upon them Keith Hernandez trade brought up Van Slyke. But even like a guy like Lonnie Smith in 85, Cardinals didn't really want to move him, but Vince Coleman comes up, has a great start, and you have to move Lonnie Smith. So you do for John Morris. So that's the way I look at it is if you bring up an impact player every year, that's going to promote winning.
Is it okay if I have my expectations a little higher this year? Because my expectations this year is they're going to end up bringing up like 3 to 5 impact players.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
So you're thinking Matthews and Doyle, right?
Yep.
And Wetherholt.
I'm counting Wetherholt. And then I'm hoping for, and then maybe a late season, another pitcher in Baez.
Ooh, how about a healthy Tink Hentz?
Oh, you know what? That'd be or heck, I'd take a healthy Connor Zerpe.
Oh yeah, see Cooper.
Not Connor. My apologies.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And then if Baez does something by the end of the year,
double letter.
That'd be great. Yeah. So impact guys, though, you need impact guys.
This year's a little bit different, but yeah, I just want to see impact guys. And my thing here is, and as you've pointed out already when you ran through the Alan Craigs and the Paul DeYoungs of the world, and how people were carping for Alex Reyes's to get an early extension, how that would have been terrible. Nobody. We're never doing this in an actual like respectable way or a fair way where it's like, yeah, we're going to bitch about them not giving him here. And if they do give it to him and he ends up sucking, everyone's going to throw their hands and be like, oh yeah, I knew he was going to suck when they gave it to him. It's just, it's the revisionist history. We never know. We're always looking back. Hindsight's 2020. You know, people say we should fire this coach in the moment. They don't fire him. The next coach doesn't work out well. And everyone claims that in the moment they said, don't fire the previous coach, when everyone said fire the previous coach. So people are saying now, give him the extension. Don't give him the extension. You will end up being the same people bitching. And we all are. We're all hypocrites when it comes to sports. It's the wonderful thing about sports, because it's something we can be hypocritical about and critical about and not actually have any actual things come into our life and be affected by it. But the bottom line is, if you're mad about it now or you think it's great now, there's a very good chance you're going to lie to yourself about what actually happened.
I remember 6 years ago, before the pandemic shut everything down, I was pounding the table for the Cardinals after his stretch run in 2019, pounding the table for the Cardinals to extend Jack Flaherty, because I thought, okay, this guy's going to be a stud for a long time. And he was the best pitcher in the National League in the second half of 2019. It would not have worked out well had they signed Jack Flaherty to a 6-year, $60 million contract.
Would have been terrible, but it would have been a little rough when he couldn't stay healthy for the first 2-3 years of it.
23, 24.
He wasn't really healthy.
The contract this past year would have been the last year of that deal.
I wonder what his actual like true money value was over those 6 years. He went, okay, never mind. So that would have been before 2020?
Yeah, I wanted him to buy him out his free agency plus a year, I think.
Okay. So 6 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll get 2024 in there as well.
Arbitration plus a year of free agency.
So last year you said would have been included 2025.
Yeah.
So for that deal, you would have gotten a grand total of 5.1 WAR, 44 and 37, and a 4.15 ERA with 118 games started and 622 innings pitched.
More starts than I thought.
Yeah, I don't think it wouldn't have been great, and there would have been the seasons, because literally you would have had 2022 when he only had 9 starts, and people would have been bitching about that one because he wasn't playing. I mean, people were bitching about it in the moment, and he wasn't making $10 million yet at that point, and then he only has 28 starts in 2024, 29 starts, 31 starts last year. Yeah, it was really just the fact that he was those first couple of years when he wasn't giving the Cardinals 25, 30 starts a year would have been a little bit rough in the discussion factor.
And in 20 and 20,
but it was rough. By the way, it was rough in the discussion factor. Talking about Jack Flaherty for all those years was a bear.
Yeah. 20 and 21, Michaelis made $17 million in each of those 2 years, right? And he did not pitch in 20, and then he only threw 44 and 2/3 in 21. So the $10 million to not pitch would have been a bargain relative to what Michaelis was making to not pitch.
I'm not sure if you're just talking about like young players who have failed, but I was specifically referring to young players who got like money and failed. Aaron, because Aaron's saying that O'Neill, Carlson, Flaherty, Reyes, and so far Gorman and Walker are all failures. I mean, if you're right about them as prospects, that's potential, but they didn't spend real money on those guys. Like that's not where the wasted money over the last 7 years of the Cardinals baseball came from. It came from Miles Michaelis and Mike Leake and the Matt Carpenter extension and those were the moves where the Cardinals were wasting money that they could have been spending on roving catching instructors and things like that doomed this team to be where they are at this point. It wasn't listen, not hitting on those young players didn't help, but those aren't the guys they burned money on. They burned at bats on a lot of them, and but burned money on them. Was Tyler O'Neill, who, by the way, finished 8th in the 2021 MVP voting. How dare they bet on that?
Yeah. And won back-to-back Gold Gloves. Was O'Neill more a victim of poor play or injuries? Because I always thought that like he played 138 games in 2021. Finishes.
Was he a
8th in MVP.
misevaluation? It might be. I think is
Yeah.
the better question.
He-
Was he a
he-
misevaluation?
He got hurt, played 96 games in 22, got hurt, played 72 games in 23, and then they traded him to Boston. I don't know if you can evaluate what a guy's health is going to be.
Yeah, you got an arbitration. You got an arbit. I mean, yeah, you got an arbitration, 2 arbitration contracts, 3.4 and 4.9.5.
Yeah, so I think
Did they
he was-
misevaluate his talent level? Is the question.
No.
We want to ask about that era of Cardinals baseball. Did they misevaluate Tyler O'Neill? I don't think so. Did they misevaluate Dylan Carlson? That's a checkbox. We can check the box on that one. Jack Flaherty. I don't think they
Now,
misevaluated
you know what?
it.
There's people in that organization that will still tell you that they screwed up a talented player
In Dylan Carlson?
who was third
That's
in
fair.
Rookie of the Year voting in 21.
That's fair.
And one of the reasons that the Cardinals have new leadership is because we had obviously a Pobo that said you can pry him from my cold dead hands, and then he winds up failing. But I don't think that. I think
that's a good one.
I think Dylan Carlson was done a massive disservice by the Cardinals' teaching and development, but I don't think it was because of a lack of talent.
Interesting. Those were still can't miss prospects. Anyone who calls somebody a can't miss prospect is saying it for fluff for the reason. You can't buy they're not can't miss prospects. And listen, Gorman was supposed to be better than he is now, but it wasn't like he was the 5-tool prospect that everyone thought, Jordan Walker was and things like that. And Alex Reyes, did they misevaluate Alex Reyes, or did his body crumple?
His body crumbled.
I just don't know if you can blame. I don't know if you can just say that that's one reason why the Cardinals are struggling this year, because they misevaluated Alex Reyes. A lot of teams misevaluate guys like that.
So the last pitch Alex Reyes threw in the majors was that home run hit by Chris Taylor, right?
Good Lord.
In the playoff game against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That year, Alex Reyes had 29 saves for the Cardinals. He had an earned run average of 3.24. Let's see, 10-8 record, 29 saves, 72 1/3 innings pitched. He struck out 95. So that's a pretty good closer number right there. I think that is a lack of health rather than a lack of production. 29 saves for a playoff team is pretty good. I think that the guy was just done in by bad health. Before that, by the way, 21, he throws in 69 games and gets to 29 saves. Year before that, 15 games pitched. Year before that, 4 games pitched. Year before that, 1 game pitched. Didn't pitch at all in 17 and pitched in 12 games in 2016 when he came up and electrified baseball.
I love when we get things like Rigo Palazzo. Tyler Green was supposed to be good, but that is going back a ways. It's also you guys got to realize you're sometimes you're too close to the issue, guys. And that's are you going to really look me in the eyes and tell me that every single team in baseball and every single fan base in baseball doesn't have 90 guys in their head that they think this quad A guy never broke into Major League Baseball? Every team and fan base has a bunch of Tyler Greens. Every team has an Alex Reyes, a pitcher who combusted because he threw the ball like he was 6'7" and he was not 6'7", and so therefore his body couldn't handle it. Every team has these examples. The question is, can you adapt alongside it? Can you make the other moves that still make you a winning team? Can you do the things so that even though Alex Reyes is crumbling and that hurts your major league roster, it doesn't hurt all the pitchers that you're developing in the minor leagues?
And I think we need to keep in mind that throughout Major League Baseball, even the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, most expensive teams, if you have, let's just throw a random number out there. If you have a group of 10 prospects, and 5 of them work out and are major league players for you, that is success. That is huge success. If you get a star out of 10 guys, that's monstrous success. Even the number 1 prospects don't necessarily work out as superstars. Jurickson Profar was the number 1 prospect in baseball.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? Obviously, Tavares didn't work out.
And here's the thing. I'm not saying there's not plenty of things that you can nitpick and criticize of the Cardinals. Like I'm doing it right now and saying they blew the evaluation of their entire system overall and what the system needed to flourish. They blew that evaluation. And clearly it wasn't that hard of an evaluation, in my opinion, because Chaim Bloom came in and completely turned it on its head in under 365 days. They went from a fairly mediocre farm system to the #1 system ranked by Baseball America and other people as well. And so clearly it wasn't that hard of a fix. Clearly this didn't cost that much money to get it done, but they missed things. So there are things to criticize here. I'm just saying you just got to have a little bit of perspective, which is there's a lot of things to bitch about. The Matt Holliday extension, the Marcell Ozuna move, Matt Carpenter extension. Thank you. Not the Matt Holliday extension. That was a very good move. The Marcell Ozuna move has problems. Not that they didn't get Yelich or Stanton. That's not what you can complain about, but there are other factors within the moves around Ozuna that you can look at that are problematic for the Cardinals.
And I think just if you could go back to the Cardinals and say, okay, you kind of knew he was a knucklehead.
Yes.
If you had to do it all over again, would you do it? No, they wouldn't. But it wasn't because of Marcell Ozuna's production. It was because he was a knucklehead. After he left here, Atlanta 2020 leads the league in homers and RBIs and has a 1.067 OPS. Year after that, he got in trouble, obviously, and had a 645. Year after that, 23 homers, 56 RBIs. 2023, 40 homers and 100 RBIs. 2024, 39 homers and 104 RBIs. And then last year at the age of 34, 21 and 68. If you would have been able to make that deal and get that sort of year-to-year production out of Ozuna, who, by the way, in 2 years with the Cardinals had 47 homers and 140 RBIs, something like that. Let me give you the numbers.
Which the outfielder was absolutely desperate for at the time.
52 homers, 177 RBIs. The thing is, if you just get the production and not the knuckleheadedness out of Ozuna, then it winds up being a good trade. The problem was he was a knucklehead. And so that's where the Cardinals misevaluated him, not in his ability to hit, because the guy could hit. Again, back-to-back years in 23 and 24, 40 homers, 100 RBIs, 905 OPS, 39 homers, 104 RBIs, 925 OPS.
But the criticism around the Ozuna deal for me is the Cardinals put themselves to a point where they were so desperate for any kind of offensive punch in the outfield that they made a deal that they, in the moment, probably could have told you isn't the best deal to make in the moment, because we're not getting the biggest bat, we're not getting the best deal. Well, a week later, Yelich is in Milwaukee, and you have no control over that situation.
Actually, it was 6 weeks later. But what didn't you like about getting a Gold Glove Silver Slugger that had a 912 OPS and 37 homers and 124 RBIs? What didn't you like about that?
It's that I was paying for a Gold Glove that I knew he wasn't a good defender. That was
you knew that, huh?
I mean, I think the Cardinals knew he wasn't a very good defender, even though he was winning the Gold Glove.
He was actually pretty good in 2017. For Miami. Good enough to win a Gold Glove.
Good enough to win a Gold Glove. I'm just saying the metrics said it was one of those Gold Gloves that was won because he was also winning the Silver Slugger. Yeah, but it wasn't because of Ozuna as a hitter. It was because of what you were giving up and the fact that of the three outfielders in the situation, you were getting the lowest rated of the three.
Well, one of them said he wasn't going to come. Right?
Exactly.
The one of them wasn't available. The team said we aren't trading him.
And that's all.
And so here's the thing.
You were dealing with an unfortunate
situation. 2014, Oscar Taveras died, exactly. Right? So you tried to replace him. And so for 2015, you get Jason Hayward, who you think you offered him $100 million or no, $200 million. He turned it down. So in 16, you're just kind of meandering along. And that's where you had Piscotty and Grichuk and that gang. So, you got to get a bat for 17 after 17, because in 17 you got Dexter Fowler. That didn't work out great. So you still need that power bat that you don't have because Taveras isn't there and Hayward didn't come. Not that Fowler was going to be a power bat, but you thought Alan Craig at one point, he traded him in 2014. You thought Grichuk would give you a little bit more. He didn't. It just wouldn't happen. So you needed to get a bat for 2018.
Desperate for it.
And that's what you never stopped scrambling. Well, for a long time.
Yeah.
Trying to make up for what you were supposed to have in Oscar Taveras.
I think also the Cardinals, up until that point, I think if you zoned in, how many times do the Cardinals get a guy who they were buying at the absolute peak of his value with a lot of proof being that his real value was a little bit lower? Because the player Ozuna is before that final year in Miami is the player he was in St. Louis, which is mid 20s mid 20 home run and an 80 RBI guy, as opposed to the mid 30s 100 plus RBI guy that he was in that final year in Miami. You're paying for
wound up becoming regularly in Atlanta.
I mean, I guess put that together in Atlanta for. Did he really put that together in Atlanta?
Yeah.
How
So
many
here's.
years? I mean,
here
he had 2 years of that in Atlanta. 40 and 100, and 34
strike season, 60
104.
games, 18 homers, 56 RBIs, 6th in the MVP.
That was in the moment. I think no one was happy that you were giving up the huge pitching prospects for the number 3 in the deal.
Nobody knew about Alcantara at that point.
That's true.
And certainly nobody knew about
Zach Gallen. Well, I think it was
because they gave the Marlins had the choice between Alcantara or Junior Fernandez.
They made the right call,
and they wanted taking Alcantara.
Yeah, in the moment, and that's also part of my point. Was there's a lot of people in the moment were like, okay, look at all the big numbers he just put up in Miami. Who are these pitchers? But of course, as soon as the pitchers pop, everyone goes back and says, I hated the Ozuna deal in the moment because we couldn't get Giancarlo Stanton. And then we'll look what happened with Christian Yelich. Your context around the facts of Stanton wasn't coming here and Yelich wasn't available at the time adds to a lot of things. Jacob Murphy, and it goes both ways too. Nobody expected much from Edman, Donnie, or even Burley now. And that's a good thing to put
young.
That's credit to give to the Cardinals. But at the same time, I also think my point about taking the step is you can't give the Cardinals too much credit because not every team in baseball, most good teams in baseball also have 3 or 4 guys who pop who they didn't really expect. And so it's one of those things where you can't be too hard on the Cardinals for the guys who don't. You can't give them too much credit and do the whole Cardinal thing that we do sometimes and get too much on one guy just because he popped and we didn't see it coming.
Okay. Hey, let's do one more thing here, and that is give props to Luther Burden III. Last night has a great game.
Saved my Mizzou weekend.
I guess he injured a quad on the last play of the game.
He's good. Apparently nothing to worry about long term.
8 for 138 and a touchdown against San Francisco. He became the guy with no Rome Odunze there and no DJ Moore to speak of for Caleb Williams. I wonder now, and this is just who we are. We're a reactionary sports society, but there were so many people that said after last season, and even on like national shows, oh, Caleb Williams is a bust. And so the thing that I would have liked to have asked, like Chris Canty on Sportsman, like who said, yeah, he was a bust. I said, so you're giving Matt Eberflus a bunch of credit as a head coach for being good, and that it was all Caleb Williams' fault that he didn't have a. And by the way, he didn't have a bad rookie year.
See, I think you're honing in on the real point, which is yes, I believe people jumped the gun on on Caleb Williams, but I think the bigger thing is Ben Johnson might be just one of the greatest offensive coaches we've ever seen.
Yeah, he's done a great job. And Williams, by the way, once they teach him how to watch tape, and he looks like he's in control. By the way, if I don't expect everybody to pay attention. Caleb Williams' rookie year last year. Actually had a higher completion percentage than this year, 62.5%, 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 6 picks. This year, 57.9, so he's about 3.5 points down. He does have more yards, 37-30, 25 homers and 6 interceptions. So Caleb Williams has been good for 2 years, but the difference is that there's no Jaden Daniels to compare him against this year.
Oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. I think, and listen, I've still seen some people criticizing Caleb Williams every time he makes a mistake. I will, because, to your points, completion percentage down a little bit, but hey, he's actually throwing down the field this year. They have an offense that's actually opening up the field, and you see what Ben Johnson can do because we see the struggles that the Lions are having this year. Yes, part of that is because they've been racked with injuries at times, but you've heard Dan Campbell just point out that they're not just executing the way they have been prior, and maybe the reason is because the offense isn't nearly as well designed as it was when Ben Johnson was there. Absolutely. He knows what he's doing. He's good with quarterbacks. But obviously, Caleb Williams is still growing, and that's the one thing is calling a guy bust in his rookie year stupid because you still have moments like at the end of the game last night when clearly Robert Saleh dials up a perfect play against a young quarterback where he drops 8 into coverage, and just puts a spy on him, only rushes 2, and Williams is sitting back there like, well, now I have a short field and 8 guys in every single zone. What do I do with the ball? And partially the reason he didn't have any options is because one of his receivers is just standing in the end zone with his hands up and not moving. Ridiculous play there by the Bears. But that's let guys grow for a little bit. My God, the idea that he, just because he's the number 1 overall pick, that if he's not locked in Pro Bowl player by his rookie year or by the end of his second year, I don't understand why we can't have a little bit of patience. Then again, I probably had too much patience with Sam Bradford.
Yeah, well, but that was injury.
Yeah.
The other thing is
high ankle sprains. Don't play on them.
Yep. And maybe the writers are going to do this, but I think if I had a vote this year, and for me to do this, by the way, is a huge thing. So don't take this lightly. I think if I had an MVP vote, I'd vote for Drake May.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's completely fair.
Leads the league in.
I think a lot of people are going to vote that way.
Passer rating. I get the impression that people think that it's Matthew Stafford's and that nobody
well,
else.
That's the media narrative, but I don't see why Drake May wouldn't get a lot of votes.
May is 3rd in passing yards. He doesn't have nearly as many touchdown passes as Stafford. Stafford's got 40 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. May has 30 and 8, but May has a higher passer rating. And I just think that in terms of value to the team, he has lifted players around him. I think if you compare supporting casts, I don't think Drake May's, and I get that he has Stephon Diggs now, but I don't think it compares to having Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and the Kyron Williams and the running backs that Stafford has. I think May has lifted a franchise. And I don't like New England.
Yeah. We got 6 years of them without them being out of the playoffs. And one of those seasons we had to watch Tom Brady still win a Super Bowl. I feel like we didn't get enough time to really cool down on this whole Patriots being good thing.
Yeah, no.
Could have got a solid decade out of that.
I think we need more time. It's a shame. All right. So there you have it. That's the Randy Karraker show for this Monday. Don't forget, you can watch new Battlehawks head coach Ricky Prohl. We'll have that here with us on STL Sports Central. Looking forward to that. And we'll be back at it tomorrow on Tuesday. And then Wednesday is already New Year's Eve.
We got one last thing here. Legal Palazzo said, if Burden is doing this well in the NFL, he should have been putting up Denario Alexander numbers at Missouri. And my one comment to that is maybe, just maybe, Denario had a slightly better college quarterback.
Maybe. And here's
and a slightly in an offense that wasn't racking up record numbers for running backs one of those years that he was there.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of the Cody Schrader set a rushing record at Mizzou a year that Burden was there. Very good running backs in the time that Denario was at Missouri. Tony Temple, very good running back. I guess Henry Josie maybe his last year would have been the running back, or Derek Washington maybe that year. Very good running backs, but not the Cody Schrader, Ahmad Hardy level that we've been seeing the last couple of years.
And I made this comparison last year. And here's a guy that had 60 catches, 77 catches, 41 catches in his 3 college years. Touchdowns, 3, 6, and 7. 5'11", 197, basically the same guy. And so I wasn't shocked when Ben Johnson took Luther Burden, because Luther Burden is basically Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And Loveland is basically Sam Laporta. And what Ben Johnson was trying to do, I'm sure, in his first draft with the Bears, was replicate what he had done in Detroit with the talent level that he had there with the Lions. So I'm not at all surprised that Luther Burden, who is being coached well, playing well in the offense, I'm not surprised that he's having good games. And Chris Collinsworth called him one of the 5 most efficient wide receivers in the NFL during the telecast on Sunday Night Football. He's good, and I'm not surprised at all.
Well, and to your point, I'm on Ross St. Brown. His second year in college had a 1,000-yard season, just over 1,000 yards. His senior year in college, he had like 700 yards receiving, and he's already had 1,500-yard season and 2 1,200-yard seasons back to back, plus double-digit touchdowns his last 3 years. Sometimes players are different when you put them in those NFL schemes.
Get coached different, put them in an NFL scheme, and apparently Luther is like the hardest worker, is really working at learning, number one, the NFL way of life, but also the Bears playbook. He has it down, and he is where Caleb Williams expects him to be. So we just wanted to congratulate he and the Bears on a great performance, a 42-38 loss to the Niners. But we know that the Bears can go into San Francisco and play. And if the Niners beat Seattle, how Kyle Shanahan would not be coach of the year, I don't know. But if the Niners beat Seattle, they'll be the number 1 seed, and the Bears know they can go toe-to-toe with them.
Fair enough.
It's going to be a wild last weekend in the NFL. It's going to be a lot of fun. Great job as always, Mr. Rocchio.
Thank you. And you know what? Last point, Enrico Palazzo did say the record-breaking year for Denario, he did have Gabbard as his quarterback. That was in 2009.
Pretty good arm.
Good point.
10th
Good
pick in
point.
the NFL draft.
Good point, Enrico. Good job.
Yep. So we appreciate you.
That's great. Chat killed it today.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, chat. And we will see you tomorrow on the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours.